Welcome to Negotiating Happiness, the show that helps you find happiness, success, and balance in your work and life. I'm Adriana, your host for this journey into entrepreneurship and personal growth. We're broadcasting live on 107.7 and 105.3 FM in New Orleans as part of the United Public Radio Network. We explore the latest strategies, insights, and stories from successful entrepreneurs and experts. From managing stress to building a thriving business, we've got you covered. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Negotiating Happiness. I am your host, Adriana, and I'm so glad that I get to speak to you all again today. Today, we are on episode 15, which means we've been running for 15 weeks, which is amazing. Thank you all. We're going to talk about 3 ways to improve work-life balance instantly. And this is just a reminder that we are broadcasting live on the United Public Radio Network and UFO Paranormal Radio Network at 105.3 and 107.7 FM in New Orleans. And check out some of our other shows on the network. We are also on Roku TV. Another thing to keep in mind is that we've been nominated again for the podcast awards. Please go and vote for us. You will find it on the network channels. You will find all the links to do that. We would be super grateful. Welcome. Grab your coffee, grab your lunch. It is 1 p.m. here in Eastern Time, and we've got lots and lots to discuss today. Don't mind me with my Christmas-themed mug. In this household, we like holiday mugs at any time of year. So I wanted to do a couple of episodes on my own before I started bringing in a couple of other guests. We have exciting guests lining up, and I'm also going through another set of scheduling guests. So stay tuned. I've got some pretty interesting entrepreneurs that want to talk to you guys. So make sure that you're tuning in, depending on what your preference might be for what kind of entrepreneurs you would like to hear from. I'm definitely excited for this week. For next week as well. We will have Michael on, and I can't wait for him to dive into his business so you can get a little bit of an insight in there. Of course, it's a Monday because we're already having some tech issues again. Let's try this again. Sorry, guys. For anybody that's supposed to be listening on Twitch, it's being a little bit difficult, but we're going to try and do it anyway. Just bear with me for a minute. I don't think it likes our title. I think that's the problem. Hopefully, if you're listening on Twitch, that you can tune into one of our other networks there. If you guys have questions, please feel free to post them. We are live in the comments. I'm just going to post it all out to go to everybody. There we go. So just to kind of recap here, we will be tackling the challenge of achieving a healthy work-life balance. I know people are sick of hearing that, but unfortunately, it never ends. It is a constant struggle, or if it's not a struggle, it's a constant process that you have to keep going in order to achieve it and stay there in that perfect balance. We'll delve into 3 practical strategies that can instantly improve your work-life balance. So I know it's summer and a lot of people want to spend time outside, which I don't blame you. I also want to do that. So we will look at setting boundaries and establishing routines. So that's 1. The second will be delegating and outsourcing. That's 2. And 3rd will be prioritizing self-care. And I kind of starting to hate the phrase self-care because it is not it is not universal. What is self-care to me might not be self-care to somebody else. So this was kind of difficult to try and come up with a routine that could instantly help you, because that's the whole theme of today's episode is you don't need some, grand budget or, half a day to do any of the things that are we're going to be mentioning. These are 3 ways to improve your work-life balance instantly. Like if you decided today to do it, you will be able to do it today with no hesitation. Okay. And if you're listening to this later, if you have questions, please feel free to comment wherever you're watching, and I will get back to you as well. So let's dive in. I read a summary of a really interesting study, and it was conducted by Harvard Business Review, where entrepreneurs have been found to be more productive and efficient when working in shorter bursts of focus time. So this kind of goes back to our episode that we had with Jill, where you need to work smarter, not harder. And just because you're working 10 hours a day does not mean that you're being efficient or good at your job. Or I understand that hustle culture is what kind of ropes us all in to thinking that this is what you're supposed to be doing. And maybe at the beginning it is, but that is not something that we'll be having to do for the rest of our lives. Another thing here is the study analyzed the working habits of entrepreneurs and found that the most successful ones tended to work in sprints, which is a period of intense focus and then followed by intentional breaks. I'm really bad at doing this. I'm not speaking from a place of practice. I'm speaking from a place of learning. The study kind of revealed that the top performing entrepreneurs typically worked in intervals of around 52 minutes, so not even an hour, and they're followed by a break of about 17 minutes. And this pattern of focused work and strategic breaks allowed them to maintain high level of productivity and prevent burnout, which is what we all want to do. And this finding kind of highlights the importance of balancing intense work periods with adequate rest and rejuvenation. So when people tell you to take a break, you need to take a break. No one's going to give you an award for being burnt out. And I feel like I'm learning this. It's a hard lesson for me to learn, but I'm going through it. So by adopting this kind of approach, entrepreneurs can optimize their efficiency, they can sustain their energy levels and maintain a healthy work-life balance. And I do understand that individual preferences and work styles can vary. So this will impact the way that you work. But it just offers a super interesting insight into what productivity habits of successful entrepreneurs are. And also I understand that not everybody operates like the Harvard Business Review or the Harvard Business School. It's a reputable source, and that's why I tend to quote it. And another thing to think about, whatever is defined as successful to you, it might not be the same definition for me or for the next person, right? It also depends on your business ethics. I think what is defined as successful, but in general, I think we are programmed to work best in short bursts, rather than sitting there 9 to 5 like we currently have in our society. So that's something to think about. So the first thing that I kind of wanted to go over is how to set boundaries and how to establish routines. We often think that we're doing it, but we're not actually, which is unfortunate. Or we think that we're benefiting from our clients thinking that we're super flexible. I am so guilty of this, where establishing boundaries has been hard, or once you do it, you start feeling guilty. Honestly, it's at the end of the day, if you're working for yourself, you have to remember that you are your own, you're your own boss, you're your own competition, you're your own balance. So if you're not the one looking at it for yourself, who is? Not that clients don't. I have wonderful clients that care for my time and what I do for them, but they don't know what else is going on in my life. So it's a very hard thing to do, to kind of, rely on somebody else to tell you what the balance is. So if you're working for yourself, pay attention. You are the only person that can help you do this. And don't feel guilty. There are a ton of other people who don't feel guilty for setting boundaries. And that is just the attitude that we all need to adopt. I'm not saying be rude or be rigid or not flexible. I'm saying keep in mind that we should all have these routine kind of checkpoints. So let's say for me, I would love to just work from like 10 to 3 or 10 to 4 and then just tap out for the rest of the day. Is that realistic for me all the time? No, but if 90% of my time that's how I'm operating, I feel like I'm winning. So let's talk a little bit about what we can do to kind of achieve that, because it is hard, not knowing how to prioritize your time. And I also forget that not everybody uses the same kind of tools that I do. It was really funny. I walked into a client's office that I've worked with for about 2 years now, and I only recently just found out that not everybody in the company uses their calendar, which makes so much sense now that I think about it. And it's like, it's mind-boggling. How do you run a business without using a calendar? How do you meet with everybody online? How do and because they don't, a lot of things, like a lot of meetings tend to get rescheduled. You're wasting time rescheduling everybody. You're wasting time looking at it like 4 or 5 different calendars at once. So this is just such a simple thing that could be fixed, that I want to show you guys how to kind of get a routine going for what your day looks like. So time blocking. Time blocking is a productivity technique. A lot of very successful entrepreneurs use this method. It's not hard. It's just sticking to your schedule that's hard. So this is where you allocate specific blocks of time for different tasks throughout your day. And it can vary in, let's say if you're in an industry where certain seasons are different than others, you can have 2 different ideal calendars. You can say, January through July, which are, let's say tax heavy, right? This is when taxes need to be done and whatever. Your ideal calendar can change. But from, July to December, you can have a more relaxed pace, or you can change the amount of hours you work if you've overloaded yourself in the first year. The point is that you sit down and you look at it with a clear mind and you decide when and how you're going to work ahead of time. Because when you're in it doing it, you're so stressed out that you think you just need to keep going. But in reality, your brain doesn't get a break. And when your brain doesn't get a break, you just get less and less efficient. So you're actually just creating more work for yourself. So that's probably one of the best benefits of it. So it's increased focus and efficiency. And you also minimize distractions and interruptions, which is huge. I believe we have here some stats about interruptions. So a quick story. I used to work at a law firm, and different lawyers had different ways of trying to deal with taking questions or clarifying things. So one lawyer wanted like 15 minutes in the day where we would meet with them and we would have a whole list of questions on a pad of paper. And that's how they would answer questions, right? That was the only time. 15 minutes. You got 15 minutes. You got to get all your questions in. Okay, cool. I can see they're trying to be efficient. And they're also minimizing disruptions or interruptions. Other lawyers didn't mind if you would go in, in between their meetings to kind of say, hey, do you want to do this or do you want to do that? But obviously, if their calendar would say something like, trial prep, you don't really bother them during trial prep. So that's what I mean. That's how they would prioritize their time. So it's a little bit different in every industry that you work in. But I wanted to kind of to point out that this happens because it depends individually how long it takes you to refocus after you've been interrupted. Even if it's a legit question that somebody has, you still need to have that type of time to be able to kind of focus back into what you were doing. So there was a study published in the Journal of Experimental Psychology, and they examined the impact of interruptions on work performance. The research indicated that simple interruptions, such as a brief notification or an unrelated question, maybe, typically require a few seconds for the brain to recover and resume the original task. However, more complex interruptions, such as a phone call or a lengthy conversation or like 10 emails in your inbox, right, may take several minutes to regain full focus. So it doesn't seem like a lot, but imagine throughout the day, how many phone calls do you get that you pick up? How many emails pop in and you hear the notification? So every single time you do that, those minutes turn into hours, right? And obviously, everybody's brain ability to refocus can be influenced by individual factors such as mental fatigue or your level of skill and expertise in the task, or if you're multitasking, which it's not really a thing. That's also, in my opinion, a form of interruption when you're trying to do too many things at the same time. And obviously, all of those kind of factor in how long it would take your brain to um, be able to get back to the task at hand, right? So, knowing that, how are you going to structure your time in order to be more efficient? So again, I'm speaking from a place of learning, not from a place of expertise. I'm still working on mine, but I wanted to share with you kind of what is working for me right now. So let me see if I can present this to you. Just bear with me here. I'm going to share my screen. And to show you what my ideal calendar looks like. It doesn't look, it's not operational right now, but I'm trying. Let's see. So this is based on a Monday to Friday work week. I'm not going to lie to you though. Sometimes I do work on the weekends too if I feel like I'm like too much is happening. So there we go. Okay, so I think everybody can see this. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you can see it. So basically, if you're just listening and not seeing what I'm showing here, I've just opened up what my ideal calendar looks like. So I'll give you an example. So for today, Monday, I would start. So nothing is booked before 10 a.m. Just don't think that's very realistic for me. I have a 3-year-old that needs to get off to school. So even 10 a.m. sometimes it's really hard to get it together for. So on Mondays, you can see I've got a time block of 2 hours for business development. Then my radio show prep and air is from 12 to 2. And then from 2 to 4 is also business development. So in this category here of Monday is also when I set up my meetings to do anything business related. So nothing to do with client work, but with business related. And typically I do log in sometimes at night to do some very minimal client work, like scheduling emails, because it would make my life easier for Tuesday so that I'm not rushing on Tuesday before 10 a.m. to do it. Now, what I'm scrolling down to, which some people might laugh, I've had to schedule my bedtime because I'm such a night owl. It's a constant reminder in my phone that at 11 o'clock or 11:30, my phone dings and it says bedtime, because I tend to work a lot in at night, and it's not always the best for me. Sometimes it's really good for client work because it's the whole place is quiet and I've got the time to actually focus. But for myself, going to bed, at like 2 a.m. every night is kind of wreaking havoc on my circadian rhythm, and just the ability of planning the next day is not very, I don't know how to say this, I guess full of energy. I'm not sprinting the next day, that's for sure. So on Tuesdays, I have put in here that I wanted to do client work from 10 to 4. So again, this is my ideal day of work, 10 to 4. And I've put next to it meetings 10 to 1:15 p.m. So the reason why I've blocked out client work and meetings is because I use scheduling links for different things such as networking or discovery calls. I don't want to start having calls anywhere in the week, just anywhere, just randomly put in, because that is an interruption. So if I'm doing client work, this is just the basic. You can go like an hour by hour time block, and that would be more efficient for you if you're able to keep it up. But this is just stage one for me to get used to it. So far, I've been able to keep to my business development day and to my meetings time. So my scheduling links are only what the blue blocks here are. So Tuesdays, 10 to 1, Wednesdays, 1 to 4, and Fridays, 10 to 1 if I'm working on a Friday. So there's only 3 spots in that week where we should have meetings. If I have more meetings than that, I'm going to be overwhelmed entirely, and I'm not going to be able to focus on client work. And this is why I end up working at night, because I'm completely overwhelmed and I'm busy. I'm super thankful that I'm busy, but it's not good for being efficient. And I just wanted to share with you guys kind of like, this is such a basic time block. What really should be happening is within the client work that I need to set down how many times I'm switching projects. So for example, if I'm just going to have one client, the 10 to 4 thing works great, right? But if I'm working on Tuesday on 3 clients, I need to make sure that I'm not dropping work for one to go to the other. So that means that I should be having here 3 separate time blocks to indicate, nope, this is it. From, 10 to 12, you're only doing client 1. Then you're going to take a break, right? If we go by what the study says, we should technically be having a break every hour. So if you want to do time blocking with an hour, that's great. Another really great tip about time blocking is how to minimize your interruptions. And that would be by not having to look at emails anytime that there's a notification. So honestly, turn off your notifications. People will call you if their house is on fire, kind of thing. Turn off your notifications and time block a specific amount of time every day, or I don't know, twice a week or every other day that you check emails. If that's not realistic enough, do one at the beginning of the day and then one at midday. Right? So again, fit it in here so that it makes sense, so that you're not shoving one thing out over top of the other. My actual, so this is one version of my calendar. I don't know if you know, but you can create multiple ones on Google Workspace. So my real calendar, that where all of my appointments get populated or work time is on top of this one. So you can actually have both to look. So sometimes I'll turn both on to see if I've kept to my actual blocks. So are my meetings outside of those 3 days? Okay, that's what I need to work on. Am I leaving business development for Mondays, or am I sliding in all kinds of meetings in there that don't belong? Right? So it's a really good way of continuing. So what I've done, if you're not really familiar with Google Workspace, is when you create these time blocks, you make sure that you hit reoccur. So the reoccurrence is every week for me for these. But once you get down to the smaller time blocks, then you'll be able to kind of do it only recurring when you need it to, right? So it depends. You might not have work from the same client on the same day, but you might. So that would be great. So then make sure they reoccur every week so that your ideal calendar keeps going and going. So yeah, I wanted to share this with you guys because I think it's super important for the people that are visual. If you are listening, I'm just going to try and describe it for you. Try and log into our replay so that you can see it. But it's just a Monday to Friday schedule. Saturday and Sunday are blank here. And it just shows you when I'm expected to work. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, you'll see client work 10 to 4. Again, I think that's very general. You should be doing time blocking every hour, right? And then I'm only meeting with people Tuesday morning, Wednesday afternoon, and Friday morning. And as you can see, I don't ideally want to work past 1 o'clock on any Friday. And in the summer, I might take off Fridays completely. So that means I have to boil down my work into 3 days. Can I do it? Yeah, I can do it. I just need to stop thinking of myself as an hourly service provider. I'm a business owner. It's a lot of like mind shift. So again, I'm not talking from a place of expertise. I'm talking from a place of learning, and this is what's worked for me so far. So again, this is very, very basic. You should be doing what the study said. So every 52 minutes, take a break, but do focused work. Do not move from that chair for 52 minutes and see how much you can get done for that particular project. Okay. So we're going to do a quick station intro for anybody that's tuning in just now. We are, first of all, thank you. And we are listening, you are listening to Negotiating Happiness, and we are live in the United Public Radio Network and UFO Paranormal Radio Network at 105.3 and 107.7 FM in New Orleans. And check out some of our other shows on the network because we're also on Roku TV if you prefer to watch us on your big screen TV. So if you're just tuning in, we're just talking about 3 ways that can automatically improve your work-life balance. And these are very practical things that we can do in our day-to-day life. And if you want to change that today, you will have the ability to, because they're either very doable or affordable or free, or it just takes your mindset to switch a little bit, and then you can do it. So we've spoken about time blocking because we're in the section of setting boundaries and establishing routines. Time blocking in a schedule, that would be a fantastic routine to start with. And setting specific work hours and designating, spaces for work and relaxation. Like the study said, work focused for 52 minutes and then 17 minutes on average, take a break. And then you will see how your productivity skyrockets. And we talked a little bit about interruptions as well. That's why we tried to time block. So that's one thing that you can do today to fix your calendar and your work hours. Make a decision and stick to it. Our second point for today to improve work-life balance would be to delegate and outsource. And while this might sound like, maybe you're not at that stage yet, I wanted to specifically talk about what we can do regardless if you're at the stage where you can delegate or maybe you're not. So, of course, having an assistant would make life easier, but it also comes with a lot of responsibility and paycheck. So, what do we do? First and foremost, I would recommend automating your discovery or sales calls and automating that process. And that takes out a lot of, you're technically delegating, but you're delegating to AI, you're delegating to other platforms. I do this a lot with my clients where we set up different platforms. So I'll give you an example. Anybody that goes on my website to send me a message, here, let me put it up for you guys so you can see the website. Right? So ontarioassistant.com. Anybody who goes on there has to fill out my contact form. And my contact form is specifically derived from who I need to work with and do they have what I need them to have. It might not seem as specific as that, but in my mind, it definitely acts as almost like a pre-questionnaire, right? So you can do it as detailed as you want it. But if you go on my website, I want to show you guys. What I mean. Okay. There we go. So for anybody listening, we've just gone on my website now. Oh, by the way, if you were tuned into our last episode, here's on the website where you can download the travel planning worksheet that I made for you guys. But if you go down to the contact form, it's just loading. Just want to give you the example. So if you go on my website, it's asking me first and foremost for your name and email and phone number, but I want to know, what is your company name? If you don't have one, it means they probably don't have a business, so I probably can't help you, right? Do you have a company website? That's kind of like step one for me. It's like, what's your business, your digital business card? That's it for me. It's a website. And how can we help? So this is your opportunity to tell me why you're messaging me and what is your availability for a discovery call. So people tend to understand that these are mostly for people who want to work with me. So a lot of them will tell me anytime or no, let's just do it through email. Like, there's just certain things that kind of act as red flags for me, and this questionnaire helps. So I don't have to do anything here. This right here feeds right into my CRM, which is, I use Dubsado. If you're ever interested in setting up Dubsado, let me know. I have a code where you can get 30% off of the first year that you're using it. And I also, that's one of my services, is I set up platforms. I set up all kinds of platforms, but let me know if you're interested. So this goes right into my CRM and it notifies me. And it also sends them an email saying, we'll get back to you within, 48 hours, or here's a link to schedule your discovery. So I don't even have to talk to them, right? If I don't want to. What I can do is I can view their answers and say yes, no, delete, or not, or send them we're not a good fit, or yes, please schedule an email. That takes 2 clicks. And I would have not have to had that conversation with them live. So when they actually do book a discovery call, I already know something about them. So while you can't delegate to an assistant, you can definitely delegate to AI, computers, platforms, right? You need to, first off, you need to know what your goals and requirements are. So you clearly need to outline that in whatever platform you use, right? So this is an example: develop a pre-call questionnaire, right? They can fill it in before the call and include questions that will capture the essential information about their needs. You can also use forms like Google Forms or Typeform, and you can easily create questionnaires there if you don't have something like this on your website. I also could be sending them an email that says, I need more information, here's a questionnaire, and it can all be automated through workflows. Like, I don't even have to actually do it myself, which is great. This is what I'm saying. I'm delegating to Dubsado, into my website, to do these things for me without me even having to talk to the person. And another one that we want to keep in mind, another point, is implementing appointment scheduling software, which is what we talked about. I have very specific scheduling links so that they only allow people to book within those time blocks that I made. Or if it's a discovery call, it's even shorter. I don't want to have sales calls every day of the week. I just want to do it, let's say, on 2 days of the week. And that is a separate link that I do. And again, they get an automated email, they get that specific link, and they do their thing. I don't have to ask, what's your availability? Are you available on this day? Are you available on that day? They do it automatically. And what I also mentioned was the automated email sequences, which is part of a workflow, right? Those automated emails that go, they're either the questionnaire, the appointment link, or the pre-call instructions if there are any, and even the reminders and the confirmations. People tend to forget and don't add things to their calendar. So the system does it automatically for me. Like, again, I've just sat back and I reviewed one thing, which is the questionnaire, and then I clicked one thing, and then I show up to the discovery call, right? You don't have to do all of that work for somebody who's not even your client yet. There are ways to eliminate that, and this is it. You can start doing this today with free platforms if you wanted to. If you're a little bit more, established and you've gone around the block a couple of times, you can still do this with having a unified platform, and everything is there. You don't have to go jump from Google to Typeform to whatever if you have a CRM already, right? This is doable. I can set that up. We can talk about, how your process goes. What can we cut out? What is super important and what is not, right? You can also, while you're doing these calls, you can also use a note-taking tool that will literally summarize what your conversation was about. So when you go back to, do the proposal, it's already kind of there for you, with the notes. And you can also continue part of this automation. So all you've done so far is look at the questionnaire, click a button, show up to the call. Somebody else is taking the notes for you, and you're going to go and do a proposal, which can also be automated. You're just adding in the fine details and continue the follow-up automation and send the proposal automatically with one click. And then they can do the back and forth, which is the signature, the payment, the whatever, because everything was automated on your end. So then the next time you talk to them, you're just getting down to business. You're doing what you are meant to do rather than all of the back and forth emails. And of course, having an assistant would make it so much easier, but that's not the case here. Even if you have an assistant, you should approach automation this way so that your assistant can then do even more for you. They can totally babysit the process of the automation. You just have to, check in with them to be like, okay, what's happening? Quick 15-minute meeting, done, right? So it's all about saving time because time is your most valuable asset, regardless if you're a service provider that uses their time or their services as a flat package. That's not what this is about. This is about you as a human being. Time is your most valuable asset because if you don't have time anymore, that means you're probably not here and not able to enjoy life. So let's cut out all that, back and forth of that process to help you be more efficient. And I often get asked, well, really, how much time then, if there's only 3 questions that they're filling out, how much time am I saving, blah, blah, blah. It forces people to think about what they actually want so that they're not waiting until the call to figure it out. It will save you 15 to 20 minutes per call just by having those couple questions up, right? And you already, as a smart entrepreneur, you're already thinking about, oh, okay, so they do this. I can help them in these different ways before you even get on the phone, okay? The appointment scheduling process, I can't tell you how frustrating it is having to schedule an appointment with multiple parties. So there's 3 people involved, that's 3 different calendars. There's 8 people involved, that's 8 different calendars. The back and forth of emails, like when I worked at a law firm, was insane to me. One time it took 11 emails to schedule 1 call. It was insanity. And drawing from that, I'm never doing that again. So having that scheduling link, having the opportunity to know what you're looking for is key to making this so efficient. So avoid those 11 emails and just send one with that scheduling and they can do everything on their own. And just to be clear, in that email that they receive, they also have the option to reschedule or cancel when they go back to it if they need to. So you don't even need to talk to them about that if they want to ever reschedule. Okay, so that saves a ton of time. The email automation. So imagine if your email automation has, let's say, 3 or 4 steps before in the whole thing, even after you had your discovery call, which is a conservative amount of steps. I think this should be more like 5, 6, depending with the proposal, contract, and invoice, right? How long would it take you to, review what they're saying, schedule, then reply back and literally, type these out as you go? Like, can you have canned emails? So can you have templates that you can copy and paste? Sure you can. They're most likely still stuck in your inbox somewhere, you're having to look for them and then paste them in. It takes forever. With an email automation, they're already there and they allow you to make custom changes before you hit send. So it doesn't lose that customization or that human touch. You just have to know, what do you want from this person? Oh, this? Great. Okay, I have to make one modification, then hit send. So it saves you a ton of time trying to gather these links for them, make the invoice and paste it in here as well so that everything is neatly together. It saves probably hours of just from dealing with one onboarding and like from a discovery call, right? So again, depends on the frequency of how many you get, but if you had to do this, I don't know, even 3 times a month, I would say it would save you probably with the meeting it would probably save you 10 hours, for sure 10 hours of, talking, sending, gathering information, sending again, then trying to onboard them with the customer proposal, with an invoice, with it, the signature, whereas the CRM will literally take care of that for you. Okay. They're significant over time. The time saving, aspect is significantly valuable, especially if you end up conducting a large number of calls. Okay. So that's what I would do. The next thing I would do is, if you're ready, get an assistant and further automate this process by you not even having to deal with it. They do all of the moving pieces, the approving, the sending, and on you go. And they can even do initial meetings with your client to get necessary information. And then all you have to do is just show up and do your thing, make magic, and out you go. And out of that, maybe you used, I don't know, let's say 3 hours of your own time, while the automation used the bulk of it. And then your assistant used maybe 2 hours to do the back and forths of the beginning of the process, right? So I know this sounds complicated or too much of a hassle, but once it's in, it is worth it. So this is just an example. When you go onto my website, you'll see that I have certain information here that feeds straight into my CRM that will help me put you on this path of, let's onboard you. Are we a good fit? Are we not? Here's an invoice and a proposal and a contract. Okay. The last thing that I wanted to talk about was prioritizing self-care. And again, I mentioned earlier, I think self-care, the actual phrase, is just overused by beauty industry, I think, because they tend to relate it to facials or new makeup, or, which, don't get me wrong, I'm a big fan of makeup. I want people to understand that self-care is different for everybody. I have a ton of friends who don't use makeup. And then I have a ton of friends who love makeup. So you marketing to them about self-care with your skincare line is not necessarily the idea that I want to preach when it comes to self-care. Sometimes self-care is just like removing yourself from your regular environment, going in a different environment by yourself, being alone with your thoughts. That is self-care, and I know a lot of moms can definitely relate to that. So it was hard for me to pick something that could go with everybody, regardless if you're female, male, parent or not, lover of makeup and spa products and not, right? So let's talk a little bit about why self-care is important in the general sense, not skincare. I wanted to, you guys here, just bear with me. Oh, seems like we're having some technical difficulties. There we go. We're back on. I wanted to show you guys some images of what I'm talking about so that you're not kind of super out of the picture here. Just bear with me. My internet seems to be very slow today. I'm not sure why. It obviously impacts your well-being, and we want to be able to talk about that. So this is the third thing you can do today to instantly benefit from a better work-life balance. So this is probably a really good let's see. just you guys on my account, and it's not. So we're avoiding some licensing issues here. Just bear with me. Also, I was when I was looking at this, I definitely saw that a lot of self-care ideas are exercise ideas, right? While we know the benefit of exercise is huge, not everybody has the ability in the proper space that they would like to. So not everybody can afford membership, or not everybody has time. Again, we're trying to save time here. But I wanted to talk about grounding, because grounding is something that everybody should be doing. And it's relatively simple in scientific fact as well as spiritual, which is my favorite kind of fact, where the two kind of meet in the middle. Okay, so this is a form of self-care that I want to talk about. So grounding is also known as earthing, maybe, if you were, and it refers to the practice of connecting with the earth's electrical energy by walking barefoot on the ground or using grounding devices. And obviously scientific research on it is still evolving, but there are several studies that suggest potential benefits. And so I wanted to talk about that as a self-care thing that I can do today to instantly benefit from it. Okay. And it's free. So there's a study that was published in the Journal of Alternative and Complementary Medicine. Again, I'm not relying on any of these things, and I'm not saying that you should be doing your own research, but this is what I've found. It's improved sleep patterns. It has decreased nighttime pain and reduced daytime fatigue, especially in participants with chronic pain. Okay. There's health implications, of reconnecting the human body to the Earth's surface electrons, and that's what they found. And again, that's in the Journal of Alternative and Complementary Medicine. This first study that I referenced was published around 2012. So it's not super new, which means people have known about this for a while, but it's also not super, super old. So it's still evolving. Okay. I just wanted to show you guys a photo of grounding, so you know what I'm talking about, because not everybody might. Or there are people saying, yes, I know what's grounding, but we're going to try and appeal to everybody here. But my internet's being very slow, so that's not helpful. Let's talk about the second benefit is reduced inflammation and pain. And they found that specifically participants with chronic inflammatory and autoimmune conditions benefit from this. And it's specifically for the effects of grounding on delayed onset muscle soreness. And it showed that grounding significantly reduced pain, muscle stiffness, and physical disability in participants with chronic back pain, which I have a ton of back pain. So that's very helpful to know. And earthing or grounding, the human body reduces blood viscosity, which is a major factor in cardiovascular disease, also from the Journal of Alternative and Complementary Medicine. Another thing that it will do is it will reduce stress, and it will improve your mood. I have to remember to tell you guys about an event that I attended yesterday, because you might like it. I couldn't quite find a picture of people walking on there, but there is a picture of people touching the soil with hands. I don't understand why it's such a big secret or nobody wants to talk about it. Maybe because we would have to take a bunch of ibuprofen. Who knows? I'm definitely on that ibuprofen bandwagon with my back pain. But yeah, apparently Google likes to kind of siphon those results out there. But yeah, so walking barefoot. My 3-year-old asks me all the time when we go to the park and if he can take his shoes off. Why does he ask me? I don't know. Maybe it's more comfortable. Maybe he's listening to his body way better than we are, which I've noticed a pattern with that. He also doesn't overeat because he listens to his body. So I tell him, yeah, go for it. So take your shoes off, feel the grass, just relax, sunbathe, that's definitely something that can recharge you. And also, like I was saying, it can reduce stress and it'll improve your mood. This is a Journal of Environmental Public Health article, and it discussed the benefits of grounding and reducing stress, improving mood, and enhancing overall well-being. And this was in 2015. The effects of grounding on inflammation, the immune response, wound healing, and prevention and treatment of chronic inflammatory and autoimmune diseases has been observed. And again, that was in 2015 from the Journal of Environmental and Public Health. There's lots and lots of research to be done still, but this is what we have available to us so far. To me, that's such a simple habit to make, especially in the summer. Like we live in an area where winters are very harsh and summers are lovely, so we do that. So when you do have the opportunity to be outside, do it, because that's definitely something that is going to help you throughout the year. But let's say it's winter. What are you going to do in the winter? So this is my favorite, non-favorite website to purchase things. And I want to show you what grounding mats are. Again, I don't have a preference. I'm not getting paid to do any of this. I just wanted to show you guys. So there we go. Let's see if you can see my screen now. I just did a quick search. Oh, there we go. It's finally updating. Let's try again. Okay, so there we go. You guys can see now. So a lot of people that work from home or work indoors a lot have these grounding mats. You can see people here. So what you do is you plug it into the ground like in the outlet in the grounding section, and you then stand on it or put your feet on it while you're working, and it helps you connect to the grounding system that is already in your house. I'm trying to make this big, super slow. Again, I don't really care about the brand. I'm not really. So you can see it's connected there, and then you put that into the ground outlet there, the third little. I'm talking about for North America. I'm sure there are grounding mats for whichever zone you're in. If you are, overseas, or if you're in South America, I'm not sure, but they do have other ones as well. So these mats kind of help you get connected to the energy that is outside. I've seen people do the bed sheets and the pillows as well, so for improved sleep. I think a lot of these studies were also done with sleeping with these grounding devices on. I haven't tried those personally, but a grounding mat is great. Some people kind of report they don't feel anything different, but you kind of have to let your body do the talking. I don't think you're meant to be buzzing off the walls. I think you're just meant to feel less pain, less inflammation, because on a day-to-day basis, you don't see inflammation. You feel inflammation, or you cause it with different things. For example, when I used to go to a naturopath, I didn't realize that what I was eating wasn't only just, stomach trouble, because I naturally think that my food's going in my stomach. It was also headaches or muscle and joint stiffness. So I think we just don't know enough in our day-to-day life about how these things affect us. So we tend to make these judgments on, well, that's not possibly working. But isn't it? You don't know. How do you measure your mood usually when you're super angry or super happy? Because we don't tend to notice the in-betweens, I don't think, unless you're super self-aware. So that's what I would recommend in the winter. And in the summer, go outside, take your shoes off, and enjoy, because it's pretty short. Like, it's already almost mid-July, and I can't believe it. So I'm going to do a quick recap, right, of the 3 things that you can do today to improve your work-life balance. So the first one had to do with setting boundaries and establishing routines. So this is where you can start with the time block. Maybe as part of your time block, you can block in an hour where you go have your coffee outside on your porch and go stick your feet in the grass and just enjoy, no phone, no computer, just be. And that could be part of your time block. Okay. And then for the rest of the day, feel the energy and just, get it going with the focus. So that's one. This is a routine that you can do all the time, right? And this also helps with minimizing interruptions because we don't want that. Okay. The other one is delegate and outsource. So my suggestion to anybody, depending if you're new or you've been around the block a couple times, with your business or various businesses, use tech first. And if you have an assistant or want to get an assistant, let them enhance that experience for you. Don't do it the other way around unless you're getting somebody like me to help set that up for you. Your assistant, this day and age, does not need to be scheduling your appointments. There are automatic schedulers for that. Use them for something else. Use them for scheduling, I don't know, marketing things or going back and forth with your clients once they've become your clients, or helping you sort through your inbox to make sure it's more efficient, or to deal with urgent things. Use them in a different capacity, right? But first and foremost, automate your step one. How are you getting your clients? How are you doing your sales calls, and how are they getting onboarded? That is such an easy step to automate, and then you can have an assistant that you can delegate more things to, or that they can handle that process. You don't even have to think about it. Okay, that was our second thing that you can start doing today. There are free CRMs out there that will help you do this, or you pay for an upgrade to, which is, for the amount of time that you're going to save, it's going to be a no-brainer. And third, prioritizing self-care. We talked about how self-care doesn't mean the same thing for everybody, but I found one thing that everybody can do, right? Stick your feet in the ground, feel the grass, feel the energy, and allow your body to benefit from, less stress and less inflammation, better sleep, and hopefully you make that a regular thing. And in the winter, if you can't do that, obviously, please don't get frostbite. Get a grounding mat, and maybe that's what you put at your feet when you're working. That's what I'm doing. So I don't have a particular brand. I don't have an affiliation with any of them. This is just me giving you options, affordable options that you can do today. So do you think that you can achieve a more balanced work, work-life situation? It is summer, so a lot of people are taking time off, which is great, so you're not burnt out. But this applies to any time of the year, right? Set boundaries and set routines, then delegate and outsource, and then prioritize self-care. So we're going to do time blocking. We're going to automate our calls, our sales calls process and onboarding. And then we're also going to ground ourselves and include that in our time block to have some tea, coffee, or just sit outside in the sun and, absorb what it is to just be. No phones, no computers. That's super, super important. So I hope this was valuable to everybody. Please watch our replays. Please interact. Please follow or share or comment. This helps us keep going with all of our shows here. And also, if you see the advertisement to vote for the podcast awards, please do so. A lot of our shows are nominated. You should find the information on our network sites. Other than that, thank you so much for listening. I've really enjoyed talking about how, 3 things we can instantly do to improve our quality of life. I hope you enjoyed it. And thank you again to the network, our United Public Radio Network and UFO Paranormal Radio Network, for having us. And anybody who is listening, if you have any questions, please let us know. And if you wanted to work together to achieve any of these things, I can definitely help you out at ontarioassistant.com. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your week, and we will see you guys next week.